Hi guys, welcome to the Inside Track. Today on the show my special guest is Howard Paul. Howard is a fantastic straight-ahead jazz guitar player. He's also the CEO of Benedetto Guitars, and today he brings into the studio David Carasoni on drums and John Leftwich on bass. Let's go and meet the guys, shall we?
How you doing?
How's it going? That's James. Have you met James? I think you've met James.
James.
That's James. Right there. Nice to David.
Nice to meet you.
Hey, how you doing? Let's go to play
I'm the cymbal delivery guy.
Symbol for you.
Yeah. Boy, it looks like you had a guy come in and just tweak this whole thing.
That's right. Looks like we did.
Yeah. Extra jazz.
How are you? It's great to see you.
You too. Welcome,
Forever.
welcome.
At least a day or two.
Nice to meet you.
What's your name?
Luca.
Luca. Yes. Howard told me all about you. Come on through. Howard, this is David behind the camera.
Hi, David. How are you?
James behind the other camera.
Hey, James.
This is Luca and Howard. Howard's our special guest for the day. And yeah, come on through. Come on through.
Thank you.
Did I mention I got a new guitar?
I heard.
Have you seen this? I mean, I know you see, I know.
Who do you think Tesla?
No, but I mean, I know you saw it before it was all finished.
Yeah. Who do you think?
Oh, you tested it
before it gets in the box.
God.
You know, pack it myself.
Check it out, man.
Wow, beautiful.
You know?
What'd you put on?
These are Diodario half rounds.
Okay, great.
So,
And I know you're going to make it sound great.
well, we'll see about that. But I've tweaked it a little bit, and I mean, it's just beautiful.
Good.
I mean,
I'm very glad that you're happy with it.
Can't thank you enough. I mean, it's incredible.
You're on the road a lot. You know, you need a backup.
That's right. Well, actually, I think that's now my backup.
Well, that's kind of the way it goes, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you'll notice that the fingerboard is fitted to the top all the way down to the pickup, right?
Yes.
Take a look at that guitar,
Yeah,
see if it's the same.
Well, that's
It's
different.
not, right. So that's the difference between these two guitars.
Right.
We gave this one a true elevated fingerboard. Well, we've certainly enjoyed, you know, how much presence you've given this other guitar on the road. So,
I appreciate that.
well, that's a good
It's gonna,
thing.
you're going to get a lot more this year too.
I'm glad to hear.
I'm telling you that. Not only on the road, but we're making a record. Great. Wow. Look at that. Benedetto.
So that's a 2006.
Yeah.
Which I can tell you is drinking really, really well right now.
Is it?
It's got a little bit of age on it.
Yeah. Well, we might even find out later.
Maybe so.
So this is basically going to be your monitor amp. This is what we're going to hear in the room.
Okay.
And I've got you the acoustic image, which is wired in, that's going to record.
Right.
So anyway, so I just need to go and turn it on.
Okay.
It's a big guy.
See you, man. It's been
Good
a
to see
long
you.
time.
Yeah,
You're looking dapper and young and youthful.
Well, and yourself.
Yeah.
All right.
The Den. Yeah, the meat locker. The other one out as a DI.
I actually have a DI
I
on the
bet
back.
you do.
So
I didn't
you
have to
should be
deal
able
with
to-
any of this, did I?
No, you have a regular just
Right.
a mic cable that goes out and it's line
Yeah.
level and it's
Right.
so it goes to usually PA systems and stuff. So it
Yeah.
should be cool.
Well, we can do that too.
Yeah.
We can do that too. I had a funny feeling he was going to have it all sorted before I got here, you know what I mean? And he did.
Here's a XLR.
But you can never be too sure, you know?
right into the.
This guy's going to go into your amp,
Okay.
which you can put right there.
Okay.
And then you can go into there.
Sounds good.
You know what I mean?
So maybe we should. This is
I got my way. Well, nice acoustic
No need to
sound.
touch anything.
Really?
Yeah.
I knew how you'd like it.
Perfect. It's supposed to sound like a Benedetto.
That's right.
It
Exactly.
does.
Boy, that's got a beautiful acoustic recording in it.
Yeah, but when amplified, it's just kind of the right combination.
Okay. Yeah, lovely.
Well, I know you'd like wine on the
Sure.
program, so I thought I'd bring something really special.
Yeah, sure. I think we should open it up.
Sure.
Tell us a little bit about this. Is Benedetto wine.
This is Miner Family Vineyards,
Mhm.
great Napa Valley Cabernet Sauvignon,
Yeah.
owned by Dave Miner, who is an investor and actually principal investor today in Benedetto Guitars.
Yeah.
We figured we'd partner up with a winemaker if you're going to have
That's,
an investor, right?
Let's open this up, shall we?
And this is Benedetto Signature Cabernet Sauvignon. So he's made 8 vintages of this
Right.
wine. It's his best cab.
Yeah.
And every year we stain a new Benedetto guitar
You do?
with this wine and build it for him. So Dave's got a collection of 8 Benedetto. We don't call them Benedettos, we call them Vinadettos.
That's great.
And it's wine stained back and neck
Yeah.
and sides. And each one of them's kind of a different theme.
Right.
And so every year we have a new vintage of wine.
Well, cool. Well, cheers, Howard.
Cheers.
It's great to see you, man.
Great to see you too.
Yeah. So, what's the first song you're going to play today, Howard?
The first song is called "I'm Afraid This Masquerade Is Over."
And why did you choose that?
It's recently come back to the top of my playlist. It's just one of those beautiful, really melodic melodies, interesting bridge, and it's fun to play with a sparse trio, guitar, bass, and drums.
for quite a few years, I've been on the smooth jazz, in the smooth jazz scene, playing with the Rippingtons for probably 14 years. Before that, Rick Braun was kind of how I got into the whole thing. I met you, Chris, I think in Rick Braun's band. No, I met you before that. You wanted me to do a gig at my place.
I did?
Yes. And it was the singer that sang with Alan Holdsworth.
Paul Williams.
Paul Williams. And it was a long time ago.
Sure was.
And that's where we met. You got my name from someone. I went over and met you. You were living in something the size of my closet. It was very slick, very nice. But and we did that gig, and I remember thinking he'll never call me again.
Did he? You grew up in Atlantic City, is that right?
That's right.
That's what I read. And tell me what the scene was like back then. Were you playing back in the days?
I started playing when I was 4 and started really getting into jazz when I was 10. And Atlantic City was a little bit like it is today. Excuse me, I may have to have a little more wine.
Right.
It's a little bit like it was, today with the failed casinos. Back
Right.
then, it was sort of a shell of a city and crime. But a lot of the great big band players all settled there. The Steel Pier and the 500 Club and the Club Harlem. So a lot of really, really great musicians there. And as a kid coming up in the 60s and 70s, any young kids who were really interested in jazz got taken under the wings.
Were there some great players back in the day?
There were amazing
Yeah.
players there. Some good big bands were around. Some of the people that I grew up playing around, Peter Erskine from Atlantic City, Art Blakey lived down the street from me in Atlantic City. Philadelphia is 40 miles, 50 miles away,
Right.
so all the great Philly players would come in and out of Atlantic City. 2 hours from New York, so all the great New Yorkers would come down. So it was a jazz mecca, but a summer resort also. And so the fun of growing up, with a beach,
Yeah.
but also growing up around a lot of legendary jazz guys.
You have an interesting background because didn't you study political science and then you joined the army? Is that
did,
right?
I did.
What made those choices for you? I mean, it's kind of different for a jazz guitar.
I was trying not to be a jazz guitar
Is that
player.
right?
I was running away from the jazz life. It's true. Back then, I had a great conversation a little earlier with the bass player about it. It was a really hard lifestyle in the 70s and the 80s, being a jazz musician. There was lots of drugs and lots of alcohol and lots of showgirls and cocktail waitresses, and you were just surrounded all the time by that growing up and playing these clubs.
How long were you in the army for?
I spent 10 years.
Are you serious? 10 years?
10 years. Never stopped playing guitar.
Yeah.
Traveled around the world. For some stupid reason, the Army decided to put me in officer candidate school. And I managed to survive it. And so I wound up being an Army officer. Went in as a private. I came out as a major. Couple combat tours, Somalia, Desert Storm, but never leaving jazz guitar too far behind.
What's the next song you're going to play?
We're doing Just Friends, which is one of the great jazz standards. I think we're going to do kind of an up-tempo version of it, a lot of fun, and also one of those great tunes with the guitar, bass, drum trio.
last few years, well, mostly I'm a TV film composer. That's what I've been doing, the last 20 years. But Hubert Laws usually. We're just doing some recording. We just did a Brazil tour last summer. And I love the band. One of my first groups that I saw when I was a teenager was Three Dog Night. So I've been working with them on and off last 5 years.
Performed, recorded, and toured with Bob James for a while, just guitar and grand piano duets. I've worked and recorded with Allie Ryerson, flautist, Tony Monaco, great B3 player.
Yeah. Tell me how your association with Bob James came about. And I know you did an album. Tell us about that too.
Bob lives most of his life in Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
And it's too cold to live there year round.
Sure.
So at some point, I didn't know he had moved to Savannah. He and his wife had bought a house not far from us. Somebody took him on a tour to Benedetto Guitars, and I sat down with him. I think he thought it was going to be a half hour.
And it was
tour.
3 hours.
It was probably a good 4 hours. Of course, thanks to Dave Miner, I have a 200 bottle wine cellar next to my desk. And so we wound up just hitting it off and drinking. The next night he came out to my regular gig at a wonderful jazz club in Hilton Head called the Jazz Corner. Sat in all night, and the next time he came to town, he called me up and we started performing together. So I think we did a private party somewhere just as a duo. And he said, let's go into the studio, put together a tour. These are the times that I'm not on the road with Foreplay. And so we spent a couple of years doing that.
That's a beautiful album, by the way.
Thank you very much.
Really,
It was a
really
lot of fun.
gorgeous, I can
A real
imagine.
challenge.
Sure.
Bob is a great player and a perfectionist in the studio.
Let's talk about your Benedetto Association. You're CEO of Benedetto.
Right.
How did you meet Bob Benedetto? How did the association happen?
Started with Jimmy Bruno, who was very close to Bob. He was one of Bob's endorsers at the time,
Right.
and had just gotten a 7-string, and this is 95, 96. So when Jimmy and I played together, he convinced me I needed a new Benedetto. The next day I called Bob and ordered a 7-string.
Mm-hmm.
3 times more expensive than any guitar I'd ever
And
purchased.
what year was this? I mean, I wonder
It
if
was 96.
that was the year I got
Same
my
year.
first guitar. Was it the same year?
Same year.
Yeah.
Same year. And so based on your guitar and Jimmy's guitar,
Right.
I ordered a new Benedetto 7
So
string.
you saw my guitar before I did.
It's well, no, I didn't actually go to his shop.
Right.
So I didn't.
Right.
I did it all over the phone.
Yeah,
it was
yeah,
a,
yeah.
and it was a leap, you know.
Yeah, sure.
I had been a 6-string guitar player for 35 years at that point, and based on a Scotch and cigar infused weekend with Jimmy Bruno, I ordered a 7-string guitar. So that period while I was waiting for my guitar started a really close friendship with Bob
Yeah.
and Cindy Benedetto.
What's your guitar of choice, and why do you choose that particular one?
And I have this conversation with people all the time. The best guitar is the one that you use 80 to 90% of the time.
That's
you
right.
know, you can be a purist and want a 17-inch X-braced floating pickup arch top. You can be a pedal geek and want something that is more electric than acoustic. It's what you can get away with playing most of the time based on the kind of gigs that you have.
Yeah.
And for me, that's a 16-inch carved guitar, 2.5 inches deep, 16B or
Right.
Bravo Elite is what we call a model, with a built-in pickup.
Yeah.
Biggest challenge for us is people hear Benedetto and they think, $30,000 guitar. And we make, these professional laminated guitars by hand in Savannah, same guys,
Right.
same finish, same hardware, like the ones that you're playing. And they range from about $4,500 to $7,500. And so people just don't believe
Yeah.
that that's a price point that's available for that quality guitar.
Well, Howard, it's been great having you on the show. I'm so glad you could do this, and thank you for everything. Thank you for my new guitar especially, and cheers.
Cheers. Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome.
Thanks.
Cheers. Well, that's our show. Thanks very much for watching. Special thanks to Howard Paul, David Carasoni and John Leftwich. Also, big thanks to Benedetto Guitars and Minor Wine. And I'm very much looking forward to seeing you next time here on the Inside Track. Thanks, you guys.
I'd love to do straight ahead road work.
It's a really expensive way to make a living.